of God's revelation, but of course, that's absurd. And so it is true, the New Testament wasn't written yet. So the scripture, within its literal historical context that Paul is referring to, is the Old Testament. However,
now, I'll stop right there because he's about to say something that's very interesting. Listen to what he's about to say here, because he's thrown this out. This is it's a common argument. Roman Catholic apologists will say, and you need to be aware of this. If you're just going to cite the text, you need to be aware of this comeback. Yeah, but what scriptures had Timothy known from his youth? They weren't the New Testament. So if the Tanakh is sufficient, then you don't need the New Testament. What is the assumption here? The assumption in this form of argument is that the canon of Scripture is in view in Paul's statement as to what is theopneustos. It's not, nor could it be in the context in which Paul was writing. But that's the assumption. Always have to identify the assumptions that people are making. And a lot of people struggle with the identification of the underlying assumptions of argumentation. No one ever sat me down and taught me how to do that. I didn't have any classes in it. I mean, the logic class that I took at Phoenix College years and years ago with Brother Callahan was very useful, but I was doing this stuff long before I took that class. So I've mentioned before that when I hear an argument, when I read an argument, hear an argument, see an argument, whatever it might be, it's almost visual for me to see the form of the argument and see what the assumptions and presuppositions it's based upon are. And people go, why did you immediately go for that? Well, it's just, I don't know. It's just how I got put together, and that's what I see. And the assumption of this argument is that it's Paul's intention to be addressing canonical issues here with Timothy. When the passa graphe theopneustos means all Scripture. It's not addressing whether there will be future Scripture, whether Scripture is currently being given, anything like that. The point is, what makes the man of God thoroughly equipped for ministry in the church is that which is theopneustos, not that which is not. Now, Carlo's going to admit sacred tradition is not theopneustos. Nothing but Scripture is theopneustos. The magisterium isn't. So the three-legged stool has automatically got a problem because two of the legs are too short to stand with the third. They're of a different nature, different substance. They're ontologically different. But that's the assumption, and you need to be prepared to understand what is being said there. Yes, for Timothy, it was the Tanakh that was able to give him the wisdom that he needed. No question about that. No reason to fight about that. No reason to argue about that. Yes, of course. But we're talking about application today. What do we have that is theopneustos? And technically, there's supposed to be agreement between the two sides. I say functionally there isn't. But technically there is. And that's